Coming up on show 925, VW's boss says that EVs can help stop them becoming the next Nokia. Stick around, I'll give you details. Plus, the Porsche Taycan has helped a US recovery. What's the Genesis GV60 and what's it got to do with Rimac? Well, we'll find out. And another big car maker joins the Ionity partnership here in Europe. Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you're listening around the world. Welcome to EV News Daily. My name is Martin Lee. I go through the news every day and filter out the EV stories that only you need to know to save you time. Hi to Dave. Hello, Dave Martin. Just increased his Patreon support, and hello to Rod. Now, Rod Dilks is a new producer of the podcast, and thank you both so much. So, Porsche sales in the United States, the second largest global market, took a big hit earlier in the year as lockdown swept across the nation. Such a familiar story for so many car companies, so many businesses, let's face it, as they battle COVID. Now, Porsche's recovery has been quicker than expected, and the CEO of Porsche is a chap called Oliver Bloom, and he told Autoblog that a strong demand for the electric Taycan is the model that helped it turn the situation around. Says Autoblog, launched earlier this year at the height of the pandemic. The Taycan now stands proud as Porsche's third best-selling model. How about that? A company that's been around for how long? And all of a sudden, launched an electric version, and it jumps to the third best-selling model they sell. Won't be surprised to see it top very soon, behind the Macan and the Cayenne, but it's already beating cars like the Panamera. Upcoming new variants of the Cross Turismo of the Taycan will break cover very soon and ensure demand for the model stays very high. And, I do know that for those that sell Porsche Taycans, they have no problem selling them. Obviously, you're talking to a certain kind of buyer, certain kind of budget as well, and that's not a cheap and cheerful, stack 'em high, sell 'em cheap kind of philosophy, but as many as Porsche can make, they can sell, and that is great news. All right, what's the Genesis GV60? Well, it's a prototype, and it's an all-electric car, and they're using Rimac technology. Well, Genesis has been spotted test driving an interesting prototype in Korea, with signs suggesting that it could be the company's first dedicated, fully electric vehicle, and it's being dubbed the GV60. Now, it's set to slot into the company's showroom as a crossover style vehicle, somewhere between the GV70 and the GV80, according to Performance Drive website. Can probably think of this as a Genesis alternative to the Jaguar I-Pace and the Audi e-tron, Mercedes-Benz EQC, probably all competitors to the Genesis GV60, and I guess the performance Tesla Model Y as well, although there's also been a suggestion of it being slightly smaller than those that I've just mentioned. Well, Genesis is yet to confirm any details. However, it's understood the vehicle will be underpinned by the new platform, the new architecture from Hyundai Motor Group, which they'll be using, of course, Hyundai and Kia and their luxury brand Genesis that we're talking about, and it's called the EGMP, or Electric Global Modular Platform. According to a recent Korean car blog report, the GV60 is codenamed the JW, featuring all-wheel drive, a modular battery system to provide different ranges and power outputs. Genesis will be adopting the technology from Rimac. Now, Rimac used that 800-volt architecture system as part of the Hyundai Motor Group's recent partnership and investment into Rimac. It's why so many companies invest in other companies to get access to technology. Earlier in 2019, the two companies entered into an agreement with Hyundai investing 64 million euros and Kia investing 16 million euros in Rimac. And now we could see some Rimac technology ending up on the roads with the 800-volt system going into the Genesis. Looking forward to seeing more about that vehicle. Headline story today, Volkswagen's boss, Herbert Diess, says that the company is at a critical juncture. It's weathered the pandemic relatively well, but it's fretting about cases going up again, and they are. At the moment in the US, we're seeing, I think, record highs, 120,000 odd cases in a day here in Europe. Lockdowns are back, Germany, UK, France as well. Now, how our automakers are going to navigate COVID wave number 2, we don't know, but VW say that their mission to go electric is undeterred. They know they're well behind Tesla at the moment, who have had a head start on this, and VW say they have a massive manufacturing scale, but desperately needs to rethink their vehicles as rolling software devices. How interesting. Well, according to the Bloomberg website, it's the last issue that the CEO, Herbert Diess, drives home with VW's employees. And if you think about a company the size of VW, they've got, 635,000 employees, right? So here is a company with plenty of bills every month to pay and plenty of opportunity to make EVs. And the transition is one of those very hard things that if anyone gets it right, they deserve to be heroes. Because it's one thing being a startup, and that's taking nothing away from the Tesla team and the production hell they've been through, and they've come out to an extent the other side of it. To be an existing car maker, I'm not saying it's harder than being a startup and vice versa. Challenges both ways. But it is an immense challenge for these existing car companies that, well, until EVs came along, we're doing okay. Now, some of that damage has been self-inflicted. I know people with memories of Dieselgate have long memories, and I owned one of those cars that was affected, so I'm personally affected by Dieselgate. It's what spurred my interest in EVs, by the way. So, yeah, some of this is self-inflicted from VW. But they do say that industries like that are ripe for disruption. And car companies that get it wrong risk getting it wrong big time. In fact, ending up like Nokia, or Nokia, however you want to say it, a failed hardware maker. Now, the Nokia name is still around, but they were doomed by companies that were more nimble and technologically adept. And some upstarts, and also, Apple coming in and launching the iPhone. Nokia is a good example of how much change can happen so quickly, and if you don't move fast enough, you won't survive, says Herbert Diess. He told Bloomberg at VW's headquarters in Germany, "I'm always telling our people this example." So he knows exactly the challenge that's facing them. You've got salaries, you've got pensions, you've got each of those employees have families that they need to earn money and feed, and so you can't be reckless. You have a responsibility when you're in his position, but equally you have to move the company to an EV world. And it's interesting that he's saying publicly, to Bloomberg in this hour-long interview, look, we could very easily be Nokia if we get this wrong. Fascinating to get an insight into the struggles, and again, I know some of their struggles have been self-inflicted, the struggles of being the world's biggest vehicle maker. By some metrics, others would argue. Anyway, staying with Volkswagen, as part of their strategy to become carbon neutral by 2050, they're transforming a tropical Greek island called Astypalia. Didn't know where this was until I Google mapped it. Greece, go right a bit into the ocean, all the little islands, or think Turkey and go left a bit. Yeah, around there. It's an island, it's a Greek island, and it's being made into a model island for climate-neutral mobility. It's EV paradise. It's a 6-year project that VW are doing. New vehicles and ride-sharing services are being introduced onto the island. Islanders are delighted about this. The investment is coming in. It will reduce traffic and energy. It's going to be made on the island by all green power, solar and wind, says Carbuzz. The new transport system will include digital mobility services with an all-electric year-round ride-sharing service, replacing the old diesel bus service. 1,000 EVs will replace the combustion-powered cars that VW will provide, and cars like the ID3 and the ID4 will be on this island. Commercial vehicles, police cars, emergency vehicles and public sector fleets will be electrified. And to cater for the increased EVs, Volkswagen are also installing a comprehensive charging infrastructure with 230 private and public charging points. Why would they do this? It's a massive investment. They're doing it as a learning opportunity. Now, obviously, this idyllic Greek island is delighted. It's going to mean clean air. And how exciting for a company like VW to come along. They're going to give you 1,000 cars and buses and solar panels, and brilliant. And VW are doing it to learn to learn lessons and to learn from, real life examples. Really interesting, really interesting. Next, we'll talk about Hyundai and Kia officially joining with Ionity. That's the European high-powered charging network, and they're joining the fast charging network. It's now official. The Korean companies, through their Hyundai and Kia brands, now hold a 20% stake in Ionity. That's the European-wide high-powered charging network founded by BMW, Ford, Daimler and Volkswagen, says Electrive. Now clear that they will have 20% of the company's shares as the fifth car maker in the mix. We are waiting to hear how the partnership may fit into the latest charging service. See, Hyundai and Kia just launched their own charging service. It's called, it's with digital charging solutions, and it's called My Hyundai and Kia Charge. Now, a lot of car companies are doing this. They're providing, RFID cards and swipe cards and accounts to purchasers of their electric vehicles to try and enable them to charge, to get them into the using the infrastructure. Now, I don't know how many people actually take them up on the offer or whether they just do their own thing. Not sure, but I guess for that next wave of buyers who aren't like you and I, that's an interesting thing that you buy the car and they say, hey, we've thought about how you're going to charge it. So it's a good thing. They need to be doing it. They have their own network charging system they're launching in Italy, Poland and Spain, Austria, France, Germany and the UK and Switzerland. So how does that work with being an owner of Ionity now? I wonder. We'll wait and see. Maybe they'll do both. Okay, let's talk Tesla and the French renewable energy company, Neoen, and Tesla are installing another massive, it's crazy big scale lithium-ion battery storage system. And where are they doing it? Of course, in Australia. The contract will allow the electricity provider to move on to their next phase of their big battery project and be one of the world's biggest batteries, twice the size of Hornsdale in South Australia, says Clean Technica. The battery will use Tesla's Megapack technology, and according to Neoen, independent analysis shows that for every $1 they invest, the battery delivers $2 in benefits to homes and businesses. Independent reviews show that the Hornsdale Power Reserve, very famous for at one point being the biggest one, delivered more than 150 million Aussie dollars in savings in just the first 2 years. And final story, General Motors are on the lookout for new team members. They're seeking to add 1,100 new team members to the Ultium Cells production line at Lordstown in Ohio. The facility will mass produce the Ultium battery cells for use in GM's upcoming all-electric vehicles, says GM Authority website. Those interested in applying can do so via the Ultium Cells website. So any of my listeners in the area, if you are in Ohio and you fancy working at GM, well, now you know what to do. The new Ultium Cells. The production facility is currently under construction on a 158-acre plot of land. When completed, it will encompass 3 million square feet. GM says the facility will have an annual capacity of 30 gigawatt hours and room for expansion. General Motors has moved forward in its push to an all-electric future. They've got the Cadillac Lyriq luxury crossover, which was shown off in August, wasn't it? And the debut of the all-new Hummer EV only recently last month. Both the Lyriq and the Hummer will use these Ultium cells. And that's your show for today. Thank you very much for listening. There are 924 shows in the archive. Wow. But there's a blog that goes along with this if you want to ever get the text version of the podcast, if you can't listen for whatever reason but you want to catch up with the news. I do publish this review of the best articles out there on my blog. evnewsdaily.com has a little search function, so if you need to look up a certain company doing some research on something, general interest, hit the search button, and there's almost 1,000 shows in there now over the last few years of us doing this podcast together. If you can ever leave a review, that'd be amazing on Apple podcasts. And thank you to our premium partners, Phil Roberts of Electric Future, Brad Crosby, Avid Technology, Porsche of the Village in Cincinnati, Audi of Cincinnati East, Volvo Cars of Cincinnati East, NationalCarCharging.com and AlohaCharge.com. Derek Riley and his EV Review Ireland YouTube channel. Check out his latest reviews, brilliantly presented. And Richard at rsimons.co.uk, looking after you in the UK for your, not just Teslas, but a lot of Teslas. rsymons.co.uk. Have a wonderful day. I'll catch you tomorrow. And do remember, there is no such thing as a self-charging hybrid.